Welcome to the System Simplified podcast, where we feature top leaders who share stories on how to successfully systemize a business. Now, let's get started with the show.
Hello, Klevit here, the host of the System Simplified podcast, where I feature top founders, entrepreneurs, and thought leaders about systematizing a business. And today's episode is being brought to you by Business Success Consulting Group, where we create, document, optimize, and implement processes and procedures so businesses can grow and thrive. And today's guest is Dan Kuschell. Hi, Dan.
Hi, Adi. How are you?
Doing great. I am so excited about our conversation because, well, first of all, we have to give a big shout out to Dr. Jeremy Weiss, who we both know.
Yes.
And then Ian Garlic, who introduced us. So
these are two of my favorite people in the world.
I know, and they know each other too. So they're also each other favorite people. So this is like really exciting because we have all these favorite people getting together. And that is a recipe to a great conversation. So I already know we're going to have a great conversation. We've just been talking to you before the podcast, but with all these people in common, absolutely amazing. And I'm going to include in the show notes the links to the episodes that I've done with them. And thank you both for introducing us. Yeah. But then now let me introduce you with the correct bio, in the correct way. You have an amazing bio. So you are a husband, a dad, a pop-up, which means grandpa for your beautiful granddaughter. You're an angel investor, and you're the founder of breakthrough3x.com. And you and your team help founders get a system in place. We love systems, but you help get a system in place to get more new leads, appointments, and clients without sacrificing their health, marriage, or relationships. Amazing.
Yes, thank you. And now we can add another couple little things to that is I am a songwriter and producer of a new album called Unstoppable, which just
Unstoppable.
Unstoppable. It literally just released in the last couple of days.
Amazing. Okay, where can our listeners find Unstoppable if they want to listen to it?
I'll send you a link for at least a placeholder for it right now, and we'll make it available to the listeners so they can be inspired. It's a collection of music that I wrote over a period of about 10 years. My team did some amazing things, and it's for founders, by founders, the visioneers, the imagineers, the black sheep, those that don't fit well in a box, so to speak, that are making a big difference in the world. And it's music for them to empower, to inspire, and to encourage them and their teams.
Fantastic. I'm definitely looking forward to listening to it.
Awesome.
Yeah. So Dan, tell me about breakthrough3x.com.
Yeah, short version, this company was built off the shoulders of my history. I've been doing this, Adi, for about 30 years. I love building things, and so I started building my own things. I was a senior in college, and I built a company and got some immediate results in the first year where our company did well over 7 figures. However, the business collapsed, short version, because I realized I didn't understand how to run a business. I didn't understand people. And so then for about roughly the next decade, I was up and down, up and down, up and down, up and down on a roller coaster. And then finally really learned some things related to what you do well, which is systems, processes. And then we were able to bring good operational systems with good marketing and selling systems. And I was fortunate enough to build a couple companies. I built an education company that grew to over 20 million a year before I sold that and exited that business. I had a media business that was doing 8 figures. I sold and exited that business. And this business, Breakthrough 3X, was off the shoulders of those experiences. And also the education company, we had worked with hundreds of thousands of clients. So there was just a body of work, a data that we had of case studies, social proof, et cetera, that we could bring. And so this is a boutique business that helps founders, CEOs get unstuck, get out of the trouble of relying on referrals, inconsistent leads or low quality leads, inconsistent sales, and or all the sales momentum being predicated on the founder. And a big reason why I do this even today is my dad, Adi. My dad is a blue collar guy, grew up in Detroit, Michigan. My dad worked in the auto industry, which is pretty big there at the time. And I watched my dad's career, in the company, up and down, up and down. He's getting laid off. We were on welfare a few times. My dad, also tried to start two businesses. And long and the short of it, those two businesses failed. And my dad even, as we spend time together now, I ask him, Dad, why do you think it didn't work? He goes, I never learned what you learned, which is marketing. And we see a lot of good people, right, Adi, that they're good people, they're hard work, they give you anything and everything. And they do many times, right? At the cost of their business, themselves, financial success, all these sorts of things. My dad was that kind of, blue collar person. And we see so many people like this that struggle because they just haven't cracked the code to marketing. And trying to wear 9 hats is just, it's not that enjoyable. And so I get a lot of passion and joy of building companies, working with partners, founders, CEOs to help them grow and get out of the day-to-day and actually get on the other side with freedom, where they don't have to feel like they're giving their family or kids leftovers. They don't feel like, oh, I'm sacrificing everything to get what I want, right? And also be able to, have a certain sanity and health practices that are healthy versus unhealthy in the process too. So those are a few of the reasons why Breakthrough 3X exists today.
That's beautiful. And yes, it's a holistic view on the individual. It's not just the business, but everything around should be intact, should be in place. So you're talking about breaking the code of marketing. Let's talk about that.
Yeah.
So what are the principles that you help people with in terms of breaking that code of marketing?
Well, there's a few things, Dee, is, traditional marketing is outdated today, right? One simple, and there's many, but one simple example is, have you ever heard an expert or read, something or seen or heard a podcast where someone says that the way to get people to buy from you today is they've got to know you, they've got to like you, and they've got to trust you, right? It's very common. Mm-hmm. However, it's utter BS. We don't have to have people like us. Think about the buying things that you've done this week or this month. And as you're watching right now or listening right now, think of the things you bought in the last month, a quarter. Did you know enough about some of these companies that you bought from to like them? Yet average small business owners have been taught by a lot of experts that the way to get people to buy from us, they got to know us, they got to like us, and they got to trust us. Now, 2 of the 3 are accurate. But if I get 2 out of 3 right when I bake a cake, well, my cake ends up imploded and nobody likes it. It tastes terrible. And we see this a lot of times in marketing. So the truth is, and even human behavior, neuroscience, Adi, says this too, is that, for people to do anything with us, to have any influence in us, they don't need to know, like, and trust us. They do need to know us, because if they don't know us, they're never going to go to us, right? Like, it's impossible. If you've ever felt like you're invisible in business, if you've ever felt like you're the world's best kept secret, they just don't know you yet, right? So that's first key. For sure, you got to get done. But rather than focus on likability, focus on getting respect. What does this mean? There's an old adage that people don't buy from us because they understand us. They buy from us when they feel understood. What does this mean in like the journey, the client journey? We have 9 different phases we walk people through, Adi. And so the second phase is they've got to respect us from the fact that we understand them and that we are credible to be able to solve a problem, their problem.
It's true, Dan. I mean, you definitely need to have, when you mentioned that, I go like, yeah, when was the last time? So yesterday I was contacting a flooring company to do a project. So I know them now because I searched them and I looked at their website. It makes it known. And then I trust them because they had 4.9 star reviews and I read the reviews. Now, I think like is depends on how it's being used. I mean, it's not like they are my best friends, but I guess if I go to the website and I see some colors and images that I like, makes me like them, right? I mean, if I see a really ugly website or people that are not very inviting or pictures that are not inviting, I'm not going to like it. So I think maybe likability is not necessarily like, I'm liking them, that they're going to be my best friends and I'm going to invite them for dinner, but you have to like something in order to trust it as well. That's the way I look at it. So maybe that angle of it, right? I mean, it's kind of like if I like a certain product, I mean, even when you buy, okay, so let's say you buy clothes online, you don't know the person, but you know the brand, because again, it's digital marketing. Do you like it? Well, I mean, that's how you're going to decide if what you see on the screen, you like it or you don't like it. That would be a like. And the trust is you read the reviews and make sure that it's true to size and they deliver on time and they're not going to not do things that, you know, if you don't like it, you know, if you don't like the product, they're going to return it, whatever it is, right? So I think that's more the know, like, and trust. There is the likability, because we as humans, we tend to like people that we want to do business with. But the likability, I guess to your point, it's not necessarily that you need to know the person personally, but you have to have some kind of a presentation that you like.
Yeah, that becomes the byproduct. So what the data shows is that, you know, they got to know us, then it's respect it, right? That we can help solve their problems. The byproduct of that usually is some version of I like it, or I like it enough to test it, right? And then they have to trust, right? So these things do feed together. And the other reason that we see this, and we've tested this, we've asked, you know, many founders like you, Adi, and many audiences, and, you know, how many of you as an entrepreneur feel to some degree that you at your core have tendencies to be a people pleaser? And we literally have had 60 to 70% of the room raise their hand consistently or fill out surveys consistently. So if you teach people who are by their nature, part of their DNA is they're people pleasers and they're trying to get people to like them, like that. Is it any wonder that people feel like they don't charge enough? They're not getting paid what they're worth. They oftentimes feel like they're, you know, second level at something, and or have trouble offering premium services, right? So what we recommend is shift away from just focusing on know, like, and trust, go to know, respect, and trust. The byproduct, usually done the way you just described it, is they're going to like us too, right? And as important, or even more important, what the data also shows is that for buying decisions, they need to know us, they need to respect us, they need to trust us, they need to feel safe, and we can help them win. Now, again, the byproduct of that usually is also likability, but when they know us, respect us, trust us, know that they're safe with us and that they can win, that's when we get buy-in. And that's what all of us want to move to. So this other idea of sell, 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 right? You know, we've all heard it. You know, it's common in direct response marketing where it's sell, sell, sell. You know, give them the what, don't give them the how. Be able to tease them. Don't really give them the details until they buy, right? All this bogus stuff, right? That exists. And then there's the other side of it, because you can always have extremes. You know, branding is no, let's teach. Oh, serve. And if you wow them with your service, they'll just fall over and buy what you have. And it's not that either, right? So what we have done, in fact, we wrote the book on it, is this idea of bringing the two together: direct response marketing, which is measurable, responsible marketing, with branding, which is about essentially being a human being, like connecting with people, being able to build relationships, because people don't typically want to cancel relationships as much as they do transactions, right?
Yeah,
So
this is a wonderful book. I read it. I mean, I had Darcy Juarez on my podcast, and she definitely recommended that book.
awesome.
Yeah.
So what would happen is, you're watching right now, if you really put focus into what you do in marketing to get people to know you, respect you, trust you, feel safe with you, and they feel like you give them a probability to win. Would it get them to cross that bridge? Imagine a bridge, to just get them to go, hey, I'm willing to try what you have, Adi. I'm willing to just try it. I'm willing to test it. At the end of the day, if you can get more people to that place of just, I'm willing to, what they will do is then buy in. And when you get people like in Apple, in Starbucks, I mean, we've studied over 5,000 companies, including Apple and Starbucks and Disney and the NFL and many of the mega brands, plus a lot of the small businesses that have been successful. And what we found is that instead of having a seller's model, you can build a buyer's culture, which is what these companies have done, whether on purpose, many of them on purpose, the big brands especially, but even small businesses do it more times than not on accident. So what we have done is identified 5 critical pillars. This first pillar, you know, that we're talking about, of building know, respect, trust, get them to feel safe. They feel like you can help them win, test it, gets them to a place of now they're going to buy into you. They're going to buy into your brand, your business, your reputation, and go, yep. And then when done properly, then what does that also do? It allows you to build more referrals, more advocates, partners, ultimately get free of the day-to-day of the business, because now it's not relying on you as the founder being some unicorn salesperson because you know how to do it and sell what you offer and no one else can. Now it becomes something more replicatable, more duplicatable in the process.
Absolutely.
So, yeah, those are a handful of things. There's more, but
So Dan, well, let's talk about it. It's so
Yeah.
interesting. So how do you get that know, respect, and trust? What are some of the strategies for a business to get that?
Yeah, so we find that there's three common mistakes related to this area. So one, most companies don't focus on this pillar, right? So this pillar, we call these connection campaigns, right? You know, a lot of people think, oh, let me just start marketing my stuff, right? And they miss the step of, well, they got to connect with you to know you. They got to connect with you to trust you. They got to connect with you to have a chance to respect you. And so this usually starts with that psychology of, oh yeah, I need to connect with people, not try to sell them right away. That's just such a simple little thing, but we see this. The other part of that we see as a mistake, Adi, is the messaging, right? The messaging.
Well, first of all, do you think people should connect then?
Oh yeah.
First? Yeah,
Absolutely.
absolutely. What would be
I
some
mean,
of the
first
ways
is
of
to have a
connecting?
plan. Yeah, first is to have a plan, right?
Right?
How you're gonna, but then the next piece, you know, this is the second pillar. First pillar is to have a plan. Second is to connect. We call these connection campaigns, right? And you can do this at scale. I mean, the technology allows you and me to go out there and use these platforms. Yeah, there are people who teach, you know, go post 50, 60, 70 times a day. As a small business, do you have time to do that? Well, did you know, as you're watching or listening right now, you could create one piece of either written content or video content. Most of the platforms operate similarly. You could post that content, put $1 to $5 a day to it, and amplify it to your market, your audience, interest, behavior, psychographics, and a whole lot more. Put them right in front of your perfect potential clients for as little as about 2 cents to 10 cents per client view. And you can start building audiences in advance where they know you, they respect you, they trust you. For example, a client we worked with, Adi, that we helped them grow. They had really no digital business side. They were brick and mortar, very successful company in manufacturing and printing. And we helped them go through these 5 pillars that we're talking about here today. And we set up these connection campaigns, right? And we had them create content. We wrote the scripts, handed them the scripts. They did them a little bit reluctantly. We did the editing and make them right. And then we put them out in the different platforms. This company got over 3.5 million views of their perfect clients in their marketplace. Well, long and the short, this plus some other thing. It wasn't just this, but this was one critical piece that made them feel like they were everywhere, made them feel like, oh my gosh, you're a big brand, even when they were small. This company, we were able to work with them for about 18 months and they sold their business, right? And exited, you know, with a nice multiple. And now the founder of the company who wanted to retire is getting to have that dream at an earlier age than most. So these connection campaigns have a lot of purposes in the before unit, before journey, right? When you're, you know, before they know you, so you can build, think of it like connection campaigns as you're watching. You know, let's take business out of the way. A lot of times people put a business hat on and it starts to get complicated. Let's just talk about human beings, Adi. You know, like let's say I was single again. God help us, that wouldn't happen. Yeah, but let's say I were single again, and I were meeting somebody, and I was, you know, waiting for a table at a restaurant, right? And let's say I met somebody and we had nice chemistry and we had, you know, quick conversation or whatever. So if I naturally, so I got to know them standing there. There was a mutual respect. Usually that's what happens when we first meet somebody. And then there was a, you know, just a chemistry, a bond of, call it trust initially. Now, let's say I ask this person for her phone number. I say, hey, can I get your phone number? I'd love to follow. Can I take you to coffee or breakfast or something? That'd be natural, right? That'd be a natural human being experience. Yes. Okay. So I get the phone number, but imagine this. Now imagine after I get that phone number, Adi, that all of a sudden I go, hey, can I now get your physical address? That'd be creepy. And that's what a lot of people do in marketing. They do creepy marketing not intending to. They follow a lot of other experts and a lot of other processes, and it kind of makes sense, except when you slow it down like I just did and went, oh, yeah, that's probably a little bit too much too fast. So if you know, whether you take all of the strategies or some of the tactics we'll talk about in this, here's a key. If you will build more romance in advance in your business model, like a human being, you'll be amazed at how much easier it is to build a buyer's culture instead of a seller's culture. I hope that helps you. Anyway.
Makes total sense. Okay, so that's pillar number one. What's pillar number two?
Yeah, so the next pillar is now we've got connection, right? So we got connection, we're building an audience, let's say we're starting to have people kind of know us and so on. So now we want to move them from out here to in here, short version, right? So we move them out here. What do we do to do that? Well, now we create what are called lead machines, right? What is a lead machine? Simply, it moves them from out here to ultimately be in your CRM, your database, whatever you want. I don't want to use a bunch of jargon terms, but essentially you want to have them on your list in your business. So you can then do what? What are you going to do here? You're going to jump in and go, hey, let me come over to your house and cook you dinner on the first date. No. We have to date. We have to romance. Again, kind of take the business hat off, move it through a process. What is that? We're developing a relationship. We're building a relation. We're continuing to build what? Respect, trust, and respect, right? So trust and respect continues. They feel like they're safe with us, just like a normal human being relationship. And they feel like there's a probability we can win.
So is that pillar three now?
That would technically be pillar three. Pillar one is plan. Pillar two is connection campaign. Pillar three is build a lead machine model to build, develop, and go deeper in the relationship. And then that moves to the fourth pillar, which is
what?
Education-based conversion. Education-based conversion. Now, there's two sides of this, and for sake of just simplicity here on our conversation, Adi, what is this? Kind of go back to the dating example. It's kind of like after maybe, you know, we have a few exchanges back and forth, maybe we have a coffee together, whatever, it's elevating the relationship. Well, now we might go on a grand date. You know, like we might go on a beautiful dinner somewhere, you know, overlooking, you know, a mountain, you know, at night, you know, have great conversations, say up till 10 o'clock at night or whatever. So what did we just do? We created an education-based experience. It's really an experience. Now, in business terms, how do you do this? Apple does it, the NFL does it, Disney does it, Nike does it. All of the biggest brands in the world use education-based content. They're doing it in a variety of ways, like Apple. They do 2 big giant conferences a year. And what do? One of them is for their developers. They bring their developers physically to a place and virtually from all over the world, and they do billions of dollars off the back and shoulders of an event that's education-based. And then they simply make offers that convert people to buy and consume, or at least get on the waiting list to buy and consume their products. So they get people to buy in through an education-based model, right? How do you do this with your small business? You can do small virtual events. You can do, you know, physical events or anywhere in between. You can have video content. You can have written content. There's all kinds of ways. We have about 75 or 80 different ways to do, but at the end of the day, it's education-based content, which is just advancing the things we've already hit on: romance in advance, trust, respect, build relationship, deepen relationship, show that they have a probability to win, show that they have a probability to be safe with us with whatever problems we solve. And now we're continuing to go deeper. And based on that, over time, we're able to shorten the sales cycle and then also create sales, right? And that's where—
So would that be pillar 5? The fifth pillar will be the sale?
That's pillar 4, education-based conversion, which is the sale. Then pillar 5 is now going deeper, like, for example, referrals, or getting out of the day-to-day, because now you can take this 4 steps and you can duplicate it with others on your team. They can be helping you move people through this process. You know, at our peak, we've had clients who, you know, have had hundreds of reps on their team helping facilitate people through this process. You can shorten the sales cycle. Here's something fascinating, Adi. I think you'll like this statistic. Google did a report not too long ago, and they call it the Google 7-11-4 rules. Have you heard of this by chance? So Google 7-11-4 rules. Now, Google, you know, they have all kinds of data on you and me, and as you're listening right now or watching, on all of us, right? They're one of the bigger ones in the world. And so of their billions of dollars that get spent every month, in advertising and tracking, and of the billions of data points of all the people they track every single day, every single week, every single month through the year, they have found that the 7-11-4 rules doubles conversion or more. Here's what the 7-11-4 rule says. When a customer or potential customer consumes 7 hours of the company's content and has 11 interactions and does that through 4 different platforms, you have the ability to more than double conversions. So why these 4 pillars that we've gone through up to this point is so critically important. A lot of people will do versions of this. We see people, I'm sure you have as well, Adi, in their processes. They'll do they call them lead magnets or lead campaigns. They do some version of the social posting, right? More manual than the way we're describing, which is more automated. And then, they might do like 1 or 2 virtual or physical events a year, right? And we see a lot of small businesses do that. But what happens is when you do it and do like 1 or 2 a year, it elongates the sales cycle. Right. What we see time and time again is we show companies, we show founders and CEOs how to literally set up so that they have 3 to 5 different events a month without it requiring time from the founder, without it requiring time from the heads of the company, all doing manual labor. We're basically able to create a version which is more automated, right? 3 to 5 of those in a month, and we're able to collapse timeframes, right?
That's incredible.
And so
would that be in-person events?
Virtual and or in person or both. Yep.
Fascinating. So it's really taking the time out and making it more condensed so you can get better results.
Yes. Yeah. And it comes with, that comes back now, we circle back because now once we get to certain points, like, we've helped companies from, 3 to 500,000 to, 3 million to 7 million, 7 million to 10 million. There's different cycles of this where you upgrade your systems, you upgrade your process. The process that got us from here to there are not going to be the ones that take us from here to there.
Right.
So these evolve as the company evolves from, say smaller to a little bit bigger, et cetera, all the way up to, our highest value client we've helped grow by over 10 million a year, which is a sweet spot of ours that we work with, Adi. And so it starts with, pillar number 1, right? Most people don't have a plan. In fact, the Small Business Administration did a report, Adi, that says that of all the businesses that fail, and about 8 out of 10 within 10 years fail, as a statistic, that one of the top 3 reasons they fail is they don't have a plan for their market.
Yeah, I believe you. I mean, you have to have a plan in order to be successful.
Yeah.
You have to have a strategy. You need to know where you're going, and then you need to follow it. So absolutely. Dan, this is amazing. So if people want to hear more about you or learn more from you, where should they go?
I would say the simplest thing is if you want to learn more, we put together a special training series that's available for you. You can go to breakthrough3x.com/Adi. That's breakthrough3x.com/Adi.
I have my own training. It's named for me. It's amazing. Thank you. That's really generous.
You're welcome. You're welcome. And there's a whole video series that's there that walks people through all these different strategies and pieces at length. So we've set that up for you as a special gift. Yep.
Thank you. Okay, listeners, you got to go there, breakthrough3x.com/Adi, ADI, and learn all about it because Dan, you definitely know what you're talking about. You get results and needs to be followed. So there will be, people need a plan and they need to execute and they need to know how to do that. And what you presented is very simple, very to the point. And I definitely encourage our listeners to listen to it, to watch the videos, to learn, and to contact you.
And ideally, you get inspired and encouraged by the music. The music, of course, you gotta go and check it out so you can hear the music. And that'll be in your show notes. We'll make sure to send it over to Adi and you can see it in the show notes. So make sure to come back and check out those show notes to access the most current updated music too.
Absolutely. Well, Dan, that has been an absolutely amazing conversation, so full of data and things that people can implement right away. So thank you so much for being a guest on this podcast.
Thank you, Adi.
Thanks for listening to the System Simplified podcast. We'll see you again next time, and be sure to click subscribe to get future episodes.